The
that
law around
well
the use of mace and pepper spray for self-defense will give women a real opportunity, a measure of protection against would-be protectors. I haven't heard from the other candidates on this podium whether they oppose or they support this policy. I will do this when I'm Prime Minister of Canada.
I would do as Leader of the Opposition. I would be tabling and outlining right now my economic program, which I will table as Prime Minister in 2020, and that's the total elimination of corporate income tax. If you want to stimulate the Atlantic economy, take the corporate income tax to zero. There would be a 10% growth in GDP in our economy that would be $200 billion. What would that do? That's the equivalent of doubling this Atlantic Canada economy every year. We have to push hard, support our resource sector, but at the same time, as Leader of the Opposition, I will be tabling, outlining, and detailing my plan for zero corporate income tax in Canada, the greatest reform this country has ever seen.
Thank you.
Who creates jobs in Canada? Not government, but our small and medium businesses. It's 70% of our jobs. How do we support them? By lowering electricity bills. How do we achieve that? By investing in a Canadian source of energy.
Nuclear energy is affordable and reliable. For 40 years in Ontario, it has been generating electricity that is economical. We have to put an end to these ecological dreams and invest in hydroelectricity.
Nuclear is a safe and reliable energy. That's how we're going to reduce bill for small and medium businesses. That's also how we are going to reinvest in our Canadian knowledge. I am proud to be an engineer.
Thank you.
Mr. Bernier, you raised your red paddle, as I understand.
Oui, merci. Thank you very much. My colleague Kelly said that we must freeze the federal budget. I think we must cut the federal budget for having more growth in this country. She always said that in the campaign that we must look at our immigration system in Canada. And as you know, we're not like in the US. We don't have the same problem in the US with illegal immigrants. I don't know why Mr. Leach is playing a kind of a karaoke version of Donald Trump in Canada. It is not the same thing. I think we are opening to immigration, and we don't need this karaoke version of Donald Trump.
Thank you.
You know, one approach is to privatize everything and eliminate government. That's the approach Maxime Bernier has to healthcare and everything else, to abolish government. As a
pediatric surgeon, I would take a different approach, an approach based on the patient and not on problems between the different levels of government.
The federal government has a significant role to play in healthcare, whether that be in the distribution of transfer payments or otherwise. But let's be clear. What we should be about, most importantly, you and your loved ones, you deserve to be taken care of. When you arrive at an emergency department, you deserve to get the care that you want.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Wesley. I'd say that this race is shaping up to be a very clear choice between two different visions for the Conservative Party. À l'un côté, nous avons un candidat qui a suggéré que les immigrants sont anti-canadiens.
Immigrants aren't Canadian, anti-Canadian, and they gave examples.
That it's not race-baiting or anti-immigrant, but just yesterday, their campaign was endorsed by a white supremacist group called the Council of European Canadians. We have another candidate who stood idly by while protesters were chanting to lock up the democratically elected Premier of the province of Alberta. À l'autre côté, j'ai une autre vision.
And on the other side, well, I have another vision. I want to build a greater Canadian
Conservative
races,
Party. Religions and creeds from all regions of the country that can win in 2019. Join our campaign at chong.ca.
Thank you. You have a 30-second rebuttal.
The discussion of Canadian values and screening with face-to-face interviews for immigrants is not racist or xenophobic or anti-immigrant. In fact, 2/3 of Canadians want to have this discussion. Every country in the world is having this discussion. And just because the media and the elites don't want to have this discussion doesn't mean we should be afraid of it. Many of my colleagues on this stage I know are intimidated by the media, but I'm going to continue to talk about this because this is common sense. This is what Canadians want to talk about.